Hey, I'm James from Smokin' Dead Barbecue, and today I'm responding to your requests. You guys have been asking how to best set up the divide and conquer system for multiple zone cooking, and I think I have the perfect meal planned out for this. So I picked up a small 4-bone roast of pork, which we are going to reverse sear over indirect heat. Then we're gonna slice it into chops, and I'm gonna sear that on the cast iron reversible half moon grid accessory. This is one of my favorite accessories for the Kamado Joe. I'll put a link in the description below if you've never seen it and don't know what I'm talking about. It's definitely something to add to Father's Day, birthday list, Christmas, etc. if you don't already have one. Anyways, enough chat. Let's set up the Joe for our indirect cook, and then we'll go season up our pork. You can see what we started off with is a half basket of charcoal, and I banked that to the back. The reason I'm doing that versus using the included basket divider that comes on the Series 3 is if you don't have that and you have a Series 1, Series 2, I want to show you how you can get the same effect of banking your coals to the back. Right above that, we went and installed our cast iron half moon, and I'm going to use the flat surface for our sear. And you might have noticed I'm not using the X accessory ring, which I use all the time and love. But if I had installed that on the middle level, it would make it difficult to reach down to that lower level when we want to sear. So I don't want any extra stuff in my way. So instead, what I did is I installed a grid on the second level of the divide and conquer and put one of our heat deflector plates on top. And then I went ahead and added our second grid right above that. So we have the fire on the back, a cool zone on the front, with some heat deflectors to protect our food. So that's gonna give us our reverse sear station, and then we're gonna have the back flying and ready because that's just gonna be absorbing all that heat from the whole cook, and we'll be ready to sear off our chops when they reach their internal temperature. So I'm gonna bring the chops as a roast somewhere to about 110, 114 degrees, which is undercooked for pork, but that's gonna have some carryover cooking while it rests for a little bit. Then we're gonna slice it into thick chops and throw it on that direct heat on the cast iron. And that will bring us up to our finishing temperature, which I think USDA is 140 degrees plus for internal temperature for pork. So that's about what we wanna aim our resting temperatures once we're done cooking to hit that high end of medium doneness. Anyways, let's fire up the Joe and get ready to cook. All right, our grill is up to temperature, so we are locked in at just under 300 degrees for our reverse sear portion. What I'm gonna go ahead and do now is throw on some rub. Today's rub I made at home. I'll put the ingredients below if you wanna make it, and I highly recommend this one. It's a masala style rub. It goes amazing on chicken, and it also works great with pork. So I've seasoned up our Brussels sprouts, which I haven't told you about yet, but going on the junior beside us, we're about to cook some bacon, and then we'll throw on some Brussels while we get the pork on. So I'll fill you in on that plan in just a moment, but let me bring a little closer and we could rub up our pork and go ahead and insert our wireless meat thermometer. All right, now that we got our pork loin roast on and coming up to temperature, we can get to work on our bacon Brussels sprouts. That's right, Brussels sprouts and bacon can make any vegetable taste good. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw on our cast iron pan. I've got the Joe Jr. running just above 300 degrees. We'll preheat the pan, add our bacon, cook it down, set it aside, and then we're gonna toss in our Brussels. I've seasoned the Brussels with the exact same masala rub that we're using on the pork, just a little bit, so you get a hint of that same flavor. I really love this pan. I'll put a link in the description if you're looking for one. Not only do I use it in the bigger Joes, but it's versatile because I can fit it inside the Joe Jr., which is really, really handy. So it's the Lodge 10¼ inch pan. If you see it at a local store, you know that it will fit inside your Joe Jr. So let's get that on and preheat it. See you in a few minutes. All right, our bacon's done. It's time to remove them. We're gonna set them aside in some paper towel and throw on the Brussels. All right, so as you saw, we removed our pork loin roast at about 110 degrees, and I've checked the meter probe and we are up to 133 degrees from carryover cooking at rest. So it's just been inside, sitting there at room temperature. And so that's a really important thing I want to point out. It sounds a little crazy to be removing pork at 110 degrees, I know, but the difference in cooking a reverse sear like this versus something like sous vide, where the meat is sitting at a constant temperature for a long time. So let's say we wanted our pork to be 140 degrees and we were to cook it for 3 or 4 hours, it will eventually hit 140 degrees and it'll just hold there. And it's gonna hold there depending on the size of the meat, but it could be holding for an hour or 2 hours and it's not going up, it's not going down. So the first thing it's gonna do once you remove it from the heat is start cooling off. When we're cooking reverse sear like this at 300 degrees, that's much higher temperature than the meat itself. And so that is like driving, go out in your car, accelerate, full throttle. Maybe don't do this, this is a bad analogy, but pretend you were out in your car driving full throttle and all of a sudden you just let off the gas. For that little second, the speedometer is still gaining some speed before it starts to slow down. The same is true when we are cooking reverse sear, where we have a grill temperature, in this case 300 degrees, we have some momentum, and that momentum is going to take a moment to slow down and lose its energy. And so that's why I found pulling off at about 110 degrees is a great temperature, because that's about the right buffer to bring us up into that 133 range. So we're still not quite where we want to be, but we're not done. We have our sear coming up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm now going to carve this roast into chops, and then we're going to throw it on that hot cast iron, and I've got a little bit of Irish whiskey behind me, and we are going to flambe them and just get that awesome sear and great flavor. If you've never seen this before, you're in for a fire show, you're gonna love it. Let me bring it a little closer so you don't miss anything. Here with the gloves is I'm using cotton oven gloves underneath, and then just putting nitrile gloves on top. And what that does is that gives us food safe with the nitrile, but also a little bit of heat protection if we're holding something hot like the pork. These ones I found are pretty good. They're on Amazon. If I can find a link to the ones that I got, they were out of stock because of COVID, but I'll put a link if they're back in stock. But any black, it doesn't even need to be black, any nitrile glove, a couple millimeters that fits your hand will do. And it just gives the ability to handle hot foods without burning, and it's clean at the end in terms of not getting caught. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove our meter probe now and set that aside and clean it up. It's done its job for the day, and we're going to carve these into chops and we'll get ready to sear. Okay, so this is not required. Part of the benefit of the divide and conquer system is you don't even have to touch it. We have multiple zones, but I wanted this to be easier for you to see. So why don't you come a little bit closer and I'll show you the setup in here. Just take a look. So we've got our hot coals right underneath the cast iron half moon. So what we're gonna do is just go ahead and throw on our chops. So before we do that, let me just add a little bit of our rub seasoning here on both sides. And the plan is just throw them on, give them a few seconds to sear, we'll flip, and then we'll go ahead and we'll flambe them. So let's just add some rub. All right, we're ready. So let's come really close while we throw these on. Okay, we'll give those a few seconds. All right, so these have been on about 30 seconds searing. Let's flambe them. So a quick little trick is we're just going to pour some of that whiskey around the cast iron and then come this way, which will hit the coals and ignite and give us that flavor. Oh, it's a lot of fun. And it adds amazing flavor. Let's go ahead and give these a flip now. All right, as you can see, our bacon Brussels are done. We added some corn. Let's go ahead and cut into our pork chop and see how we did. Nice and juicy. I don't know if that's coming through on camera, but it's the moment of truth. Let's find out. That is incredible. So not only do we have a really moist and tender pork chop, that masala rub just goes incredible with it. And that crust on the outside where we flambéed it and you get just a little bit of that depth of flavor profile from the flambe is fantastic. Anyways, I hope you really enjoyed seeing multi-zone cooking using the Divide and Conquer rack on the Kamado Joe. This was a response to your questions in the comments below. I read all those. I do a new video every week. So if there's something you want to see me do, please go ahead and let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to add it to a future video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please go ahead and smash that like button and hit subscribe to catch future videos. Until then, I'm James from Smokin' Dad BBQ. Have a great night.